Big up, everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream. Obviously, going to stream for about 20-30 minutes, just talking about Newcastle United transfer news. Obviously, please do hit the like button on this live stream and obviously subscribe to the channel. Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying, please do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the Newcastle United updates. Obviously, I do YouTube shorts for Newcastle United transfer news. To be honest, it's more like regurgitating whatever journalists say from Twitter, but whatever to get views, whatever. But yes, please do subscribe, by the way, and like the video and ring the notification bell. Obviously, there are topics today that we would like to be discussing, but let's start off with a little bit of something that has been reported in connection to another deal, but we'll talk about the main one, and that is who are Newcastle United's actual main targets. Now, what the second part, which I say, trust the journalist. Should we really be trusting Newcastle United close sources, or even just any journalist in general, in terms of Newcastle United transfer news in general? Should we just ignore any transfer rumor? Because obviously I will be discussing about three players, and Sandro Tonali again, probably one more time, because he is our only major signing. But when I say main targets, are players that we've been talking about in the past, like a Dominic Szoboszlai, a James Maddison, or whoever, have been a good selection for Newcastle United. But actually, were Newcastle United really interested in those sort of players? We're not sure. In terms of quality, yeah, probably, but were we ever going to be getting those players over the line? I don't know. There was a report earlier, I think it was from the Daily Mail, I'm not sure, that talked about Newcastle United using Luke Edwards, a Newcastle United-based journalist, to practically write up a story. Well, not really write up a story, but they told Luke Edwards, or the Telegraph, where he works with, about Newcastle United being linked with Nicolò Barella, which is, got everyone talking about Barella to Newcastle United, almost, every single tweet, whatever, on that specific night, I believe. Everyone was talking about Barella to Newcastle. But in the background, there's nothing behind me. In the background, it was Sandro Tonali, actually. Well, not in the background, but Sandro Tonali of AC Milan was potentially the actual target, not Nicolò Barella. So was the Barella story more of a cover-up for Newcastle United to get Sandro Tonali in? So in a way, kind of silencing the journalists, telling them lies. Look, to be honest, I don't mind this, but obviously that means that no matter who we're going to be talking about for the remainder of this transfer window, we don't know who Newcastle United are really going for. But the fact that even though we went from Barella, it wasn't like a huge downgrade to, let's say, someone like Scott McTominay, let's say, but God hoping, no. But we actually got a player like a Sandro Tonali into our team. And to be honest, if that's the way we're going with in terms of how we deal with transfers, I don't mind that, to be honest, because it allows the club to actually make deals a lot more efficiently, a lot more quickly. You see, almost every club has this. They all linked with a certain player. Obviously, the one that we're going to be talking about a little bit later is obviously Moussa Diaby. So is a player like a Moussa Diaby to Newcastle United more of a smokescreen for a top target in our right wing? Are we going to get someone like, let's say, I've seen this report before, months ago, Kavica Kvaratskhelia. I hope I got that right. From Napoli. Obviously, I don't think we'll actually get him, but smokescreen Diaby in the background, we're probably agreeing personal terms to Kvaratskhelia, and all those sort of players. So I don't mind that sort of approach in terms of the transfer news and the transfer targets that we're hoping to get at Newcastle United. And so that would probably be my pick. In terms of main targets, look, the next topic we're going to be talking about is, let's talk about Leonardo Bonucci, which was obviously on my YouTube short. Obviously, this was from the Daily Mail, probably from the same article that talked about Newcastle United using Luke Edwards to cover up the Sandro Tonali story. And this was reported by Daily Mail, but also first reported from Italy. I think Calcio Mercato also reported on this, that Leonardo Bonucci and his agents are in talks with Newcastle United to potentially sign Bonucci to Newcastle United. I think there's two sides of the story, I believe, or at least two sets of fans. The top mags and maybe me. That's more of a, I want winners in our team sort of experience. So the next player we'll talk about will probably split opinion amongst the Newcastle United fan base. But for me, if personally, I would love to get Bonucci. I don't care if he's 36 and he's much older than Fabian Schär, but in terms of the experience, the wealth of that leadership and experience, alongside winning trophies almost every season with Juventus. He's won 9 Serie A or Scudettos. He's won a plenty of Coppa Italias. He won a European Championship, obviously the recent one. To get a player with that sort of amount of winning experience into a football club such as Newcastle now, who don't win many, is a very, very important aspect in terms of if we're going to be bringing in a player that's like 35, 36 years old. We want those sort of players to have the experience of they have won major trophies. And someone like a Leonardo Bonucci, throughout his career, he's won trophies. And for me, I usually go for player. I would like us to go for players that obviously are young and are able to grow. But if we're all going to get the much more older players, I want those players to have that sort of winning experience. Obviously, like a Bonucci and maybe a few other players. So for me, I would take Bonucci, but maybe some Newcastle fans probably don't want to get Bonucci, probably because of his age. Look, if Newcastle United can find a much more younger center back, younger than Bonucci, but has almost similar levels of winning experience, maybe like 2 or 3 Scudettos or Bundesliga titles or whatever, have the experience of winning trophies similar to a Bonucci, then I would take that player over Bonucci. But obviously, this is just to talk about whichever players we're linked with, which is Bonucci. I would take Bonucci. And, personally, I would honestly would love to see him at the club. Top class player. And even if it's just for a year or two, I think there's a bit of smartness in terms of how we're going about this, which is that the club is going for potentially, there's been links with Federico Chiesa, Theo Hernandez, so players that have played in Serie A or are actually teammates of Sandro Tonali. Obviously, Tonali being an Italian, it may potentially, this Bonucci talk is probably to who maybe help Bonucci help Tonali settle in a way, the Italian experience. Sketchy Card says, do you think Bonucci could be another diversion? For example, Torino, based in the same city as Juve, have multiple center backs that fit our current transfer mindset, room to develop, but still get playtime. Yeah, there's actually one player I remember seeing a link to, and that is Perskurs, Perschurs, Perskurs, who is a right-sided center back who plays for Torino. I think he's played with Ajax, so he does have that winning experience, and obviously has grown through the Ajax academy. And in terms of like players that have come from Ajax and eventually winning silverware at any level, whether that be La Liga or Premier League. Players like Anthony, players like Frankie De Jong. Obviously, there's been some duds like you know a Van de Beek, who we actually were linked to like 18 months ago before he joined Everton. I don't know why, but so be it. Puskas and Alessandro Biaggiorno were actually the examples I was going to give. Yeah, I know Puskas was a link for both us and Liverpool, I believe, but I don't know anything about. Who knows? Maybe Bonucci is that cover up for someone like a Puskas, who I would love, because not only that, Puskas, Serie A maybe helps with Tonali a bit. Hey, I know Serie A like you, Tonali, but also he is a young Dutch center back who came through Ajax, and guess who is our left side center back? Sven Botman, who is a young Dutch center back, albeit he didn't play with Ajax, but he's won a title with Lille in France, and obviously he's been very good with us. So if you get like a Botman and Skurs partnership, double Dutch, that'll be amazing. So who knows? Maybe that's the smokescreen of Bonucci, but we're actually going for a player like Skurs. I would take Skurs. As comparing Bonucci and Skurs, or a player of that similar arc, I would take the younger player. But if the younger player is not as good as Bonucci, I would take Bonucci. But yeah, that is players that we're linked to. Maybe I'll talk about Sandro Tonali in the last bit. The next player I want to talk about, this one I'm not really a big fan of in terms of potential signing. Harvey Barnes. He is him. Is he? Sketchy Card first says Botman and Skurs, the future center back pairing, Dutch national. Yeah, that would be amazing. If could you imagine the Dutch national team? Botman doesn't play for the national team, yet he gets called up. If we get Skurs and he plays just as good if he joins us, then surprise, surprise, maybe the Netherlands could actually be very good defensively. But just knowing that national team, they haven't been very good in the past 6 months, ever since the World Cup. But yeah, in terms of Harvey Barnes from Leicester City, look, I gave my sort of opinion of him as a signing, which has been reported over a lot of journalists talking about Harvey Barnes. I do think there is genuine interest. If I'm not going to lie, I do believe Harvey Barnes is not a smoke screen, whereas Bonucci feels like a smoke screen. But Harvey Barnes seems like a player we're actually interested in. Just knowing the club. Look, this is the one that splits the Newcastle fan base. You're either for Harvey Barnes to come, or if you're like me, I don't really want to really see Harvey Barnes come. The top, do I call them top mags? The top mags, the ones that want Harvey Barnes, will say Harvey Barnes scored 13 goals for Leicester City, who went down, got relegated. And then there's me, or other Newcastle fans that I've seen us just qualify for the Champions League, and the first sort of winger we're going for is a player who just got relegated. Yeah, not really my cup of tea. Look, if we were a mid-table club, if we were going into the season as a mid-table club, like 8th, 9th, 10th, wherever, then maybe I would take a Harvey Barnes. But because of the expectation and the level that Newcastle United has managed to reach this past season, which was to get Champions League, I think there are better players, unlike a Harvey Barnes. So I just think that a player like a Harvey Barnes, I wouldn't really go for. I think he suits a team like a West Ham, I know he's been linked with them or Aston Villa because they're in the Conference League, and Barnes does have that experience of the Conference League when Leicester City were in it. Now Leicester on the Championship. But in terms of is Harvey Barnes the player that will take us to the next level? That's my main question that I would ask any Newcastle fan. Is he him? Is he? Because I don't think so. And one player I do think he is him is a player that we always, almost every transfer window since the takeover. And that is Moussa Diaby. Forever linked. So Moussa Diaby has been, it's been reported that Newcastle United are potentially, in a way, making Harvey Barnes the smokescreen and Diaby to actually be the signing we're getting. Now, look, I think Bayer Leverkusen are, in a way, I think they're building a very good team for this upcoming Bundesliga season. So I don't know how much Diaby would really go. Would they be willing to sell him? And at the same time, PSG could be linked with him. But I know they've been linked with Xavi Simons for PSV, a buyback clause. Look, I don't mind either player, but Moussa Diaby, I would always want to get him. I think almost every Newcastle fan wants Moussa Diaby because we know he's like a Alex Maximum, but with the end product on the right wing. If you get like a Isaac in the middle with Sam Maximan and Moussa Diaby, perfect. If Sam Maximan can actually score and assist a lot more and not get injured, But if let's say if we were to sell Sam Maximan, then we have to get a player that's better than Alan Sam Maximan in either wing. And I would say Moussa Diaby is, the current favorite that I would take from Bayer Leverkusen. So yeah, it remains to be seen. I do say he is absolutely better than Harvey Barnes. The stats don't lie. If any Newcastle top mags want to argue, oh, Harvey Barnes is Premier League experience. Well, any player is Premier League experience if they're tough and big enough and skillful. Answer Maximum came into the Premier League. Yeah, doesn't score many, but he is that sort of he is this generation's Hatem Ben Arfa minus the goals and assists. Whereas Hatem Ben Arfa is known for not just his trickery and skill, but also his playmaking and being able to score goals a little bit more frequently. So look, and I think Moussa Diaby is like a combination of Ben Arfa and Alistair Maximum into one, and that would be a perfect player for me. But will we actually get him? I don't know. I really don't know. That's why I haven't made any like YouTube short about Moussa Diaby because he's just forever linked. He is just forever linked with us. There's always every club. James Maddison's not going to be forever linked because he's now at Tottenham, but a player like Moussa Diaby, until he leaves Bayer Leverkusen, he'll always be linked with us. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Diaby. And the final one, this is not transfer news, but this is just a recap on Sandro Tonali and what he says at the star-eyed emoji. And do I have I have to find the do I have a screenshot of it? Okay. This one part that he said about in an interview. He obviously has had an interview. You can check out the full Sandro Tonali interview on newcastleunited.com. Right? Is it Newcastle? nufc.co.uk. That's where you can find the full interview. You'll find it. But this is what I wanted to share. One part. That one, correct? Oh, wait. Oh, it's not showing. Okay. Okay, I have to remove that one as well. All right, so this is what Sandro Tonali said in one of the interview. He said, "I believe the first thing you should do is never stop." Okay, and then aim to win. This is everyone's goal, to try to win as soon as possible. Now that from Sandro Tonali, that's all I really want to share. Um, Let me quickly just remove the share. All right. So that is what Sandro Tonali said. He wants to win at Newcastle United. And surprise, surprise, I like that. You know, any player that comes into Newcastle United and say the aim is to win, perfect. Winning mentality, winning experience. You know, he has won things. You know, he's won a Scudetto. I'm not sure if he won a Coppa Italia, but you know, he's won major honors. Um, you know, during his time with AC Milan, and so I do think a player like Sandro Tonali will be a player that will offer that sort of winning mentality that a Sven Botman, a Bruno Guimaraes, Kieran Trippier have that experience of winning, you know, and that's why I say I would love to get Leonardo Bonucci because he has that winning experience and that winning mentality um, that he has. So a player like Sandro Tonali is in a way perfect for me as a player that not only wants to win but wants to also succeed with this football club. You know, for me, I always say the players I always want are players that are willing to come to the club and not only play for the badge, because any player can do that, but come to win. The culture, let's say, around Newcastle United is changing. We're not. I don't want our club to just be a top four club, because top four is not a trophy. It is a financial trophy, but it's not a trophy. You know, I want Newcastle United to be winning. You know, almost everything. You know, Amanda Staveley, one of our owners, said that Newcastle United we aim to win the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League, and the Champions League. If that's the ambition that the owners are going to deliver for us, then I, as a fan, want to be able to match that ambition that the owners have. And there's nothing wrong with me, let's say, going into next season. If we bring in very good signings like a Sandro Tonali and, you know, maybe a Bonucci and whoever, right? Then I can say, I think we can get Champions League again and we can win a trophy again. That should be the bare minimum at this club. Champions League qualification and a trophy. You know, every single time we have to improve as a football club. We made a cup final last season. We didn't win it. If we make a cup final again this coming season, the expectation now should be win it, because we have the fun and joy of a cup run last season. Now it's about getting the business done. And there's nothing wrong with having that. And a player like Sandro Tonali will hopefully, you know, get us over the line and actually win us a trophy. Because look, I would take 17th place and a Carabao Cup. I would take it any day over top four. You know, I want to see a trophy first, before anything, to be honest. But yeah, that is really all for this live stream, going on for about 25 and a half minutes. But thank you guys so much in the live chat. Sketchy called, obviously, with a few chats. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen next week, as you know, the players will be coming back from the holidays and starting preseason training, and obviously there's going to be, you know, preseason games. We're going to be playing against Gateshead, Rangers, and then we're flying off to the US. Not me, I wish I was, but the team is to play. I don't remember the list of schedule, but I know we're playing Chelsea, Villa, and Brighton across 3 venues in the US East Coast, which is good timing for me. If the games are like 6, 7 p.m., it'll be like in the morning for me. But yeah, that is really all I gotta say. And I hope, hopefully next week, it's been a little bit quiet. I think hopefully next week we'll get someone through the door, especially a lot quicker than the Tonali one in terms of like just waiting along. Model as well. Slander your own team. Yeah. I mean, we don't win often, but I want us to win. So yeah, hopefully this upcoming season we win a trophy. I don't care if it's Carabao Cup, FA Cup, whatever. Obviously, I would love it to be the Champions League. And there's a chance. There is a chance. We're one of the 32 teams. There's always a chance. The aim should be win it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Obviously, give the stream a like if you're watching this back on a replay or whatever. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one.